Tonight we had cinnamon roll muffins with grits, eggs, and sausage. Starting off for my grits, I'm just going to fill a pot with water, put that on the stove, and put the lid on it. Once it's boiling, I went ahead and added in some salt, and then I whisked in my grits slowly just to make sure there were no lumps. Then I cooked it with the lid on it. Once it was thick, I added in some butter, and then I set that aside. Then for my sausage, I just got some beef sausage, and then I cut it on a bias, and then I'm going to put it in a skillet over like medium heat, and then I'm just going to cook this until it's nice and brown and some of that fat renders off, and then I'm going to set that aside. For my cinnamon roll biscuits, I'm using some canned biscuits, and I'm just going to make a cinnamon mixture with some softened butter. To that, I'm going to add some brown sugar, and then I'm going to add in some salt, cinnamon, nutmeg, and then I added in some vanilla bean paste, vanilla, and butter extract. And I'm just going to stir that up really well, and then I'm going to line all of my cupcake tins with parchment paper liners. And I definitely recommend these because the sides are high. Next, I'm going to go ahead and just roll out my biscuits until they're about a little rectangle. Then I spread that butter on there, roll them up, and then I cut it into 3 pieces, and I stick all the seam sides together. Here's what they should look like in the pans, and then I'm going to place these in a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes or so. And I'm going to go ahead and make my cream cheese glaze. So I'm starting off with a block of cream cheese, and I just warmed it up until it was nice and soft. And I stirred that around, added in some powdered sugar, some cream cheese extract, vanilla bean paste, a little salt, and then some heavy cream. And I'm just going to mix this up slowly until it gets to the consistency I want. And I'm just going to warm it up a little bit so that it goes on smooth. Then I went ahead and made my eggs. So I just cracked those in a bowl, added some milk, salt, pepper, stirred that up really well. And then into that skillet, I'm going to add some butter, melt that down, and then add in my eggs. Then I'm just going to slowly cook these until they're about 90% done. Then I just turn it off to keep them fluffy. Once my biscuits are done, I'm just going to go ahead and put those on a wire rack, and then I add that frosting on top. Then I went ahead and plated it up, and there you have it. Hope you guys enjoy. If you try it, let me know.